Alright, what's up my Destiny dudes? Check it out guys. Today's video is to help you hopefully get more enjoyment out of the comp playlist. I actually believe that the Destiny 2 comp playlist is in an amazing spot right now. I am enjoying my time there more than I'm enjoying it in quick play. So I want to help you guys get into comp by doing what a coach would do best. Help you identify 3 major things that you can identify, that you can assess, and that you can work on so that you can become a better competitive Destiny 2 player. These things are what I would call the basics for FPS shooting, but they really and heavily apply to Destiny 2. So, there's 3 things I'm covering in this video. I'm going to help you identify what they are, help you find your place on a comp team, and hopefully this will make you enjoy or help you enjoy the competitive D2 environment even more, going after the Rose hand cannon, or maybe even just enjoying the competitive nature that is in the Destiny community. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing I want to cover with you guys today is identification of strengths and weaknesses. As a coach, this is something I do for every single client of mine. I've found that there are transferable benefits to the methodology of coaching a client with fitness and coaching an esports or a competitive gamer. Personal training assessments do apply to the esports or to the competitive FPS arena because it is an assessment or at least an identification of what you're good at and what needs work. This allows us to figure out what types of things you're preferring when you're in match, and this will help you progress the things that are inherently weak for when you're playing in a competitive match, like Rift or, Slayer or something of that nature. Understanding what your preferences are gives you a good idea of how you can move yourself forward. So, let's get a look at what the metrics are. Let's take a look at some numbers. All decent coaches love to look at numbers because it gives you a baseline of information that you can progress forward and you can check later on in a month or so when you do a reassessment to see how well you're doing. So the first thing I want you guys to do is go to destinytracker.com and then type in your gamer tag. I'm going to show you what my preferences are so I can lay everything out on the line and you guys can see what I'm good at and what I need to work on. Here's what that looks like. When you get into the website, you're going to see your overview. The overview gives you stats on where you're currently positioned within the Destiny 2 community. Trials of Osiris, you'll see your glory ratings, you'll see everything that you've ever played basically. This will give you a really good idea. That is great. This is also an assessment for what you prefer to play. A lot of people will load up and go play quick play, but then they get messed up when they go play something like Trials or something like the competitive arena where Rift and Showdown are 2 things that are in there. So this has already given you really good numbers of what you're currently playing, and that, again, shows you what your preferences are. That would be considered one form of identification. What I want you to do is go all the way to the tab to the right, known as Detailed. That's going to give you a really good overview of what your preferences are. It tells you everything from what your best things were, your best weapons, your general, how long you've lived, how many kills you got, what your combat efficiency is. That's really great stuff. It's a good baseline. You can then use that as comparative data to what other people are doing. Now, when you scroll down to weapons, this is what we're first using as identification. What I want you guys to look for has a lot to do with on the weapon side of it. This shows me what your preferences are. So why does that matter? You see, my preferences for primary weapon are pulse rifles, auto rifles, and scout rifle. Now that doesn't show me what type of pulse rifle or type of, the RPM of the weaponry. What that does show me is that I have a very specific distance that I prefer to engage my enemy in. That will be my strength. So let's move down a little bit and take a look at some of the other things that I do not use a lot of. What do I stay away from? When you compare the fact that my pulse rifle count is above 23,000 and then something like my submachine gun, even my super and my snipers are down less than 5,000, it's really obvious that I am a mid-range player. I slay out at mid-range, but I do not do as well in the close range or even in the long range. So that would be considered, that is my strength, pulse rifle, mid-range. Fusion rifle could even be considered mid-range if you're playing up close to somebody. I don't know if you guys would argue with me on that. Sidearm as well. But you could also take a look at like the sniper rifle. I'm terrible at that. I never win my engagements with people that are decent at long range. That will be a weakness. Submachine guns I don't do too well with. Shotguns I don't do too well with. So I don't own any of the close quarter combat engagement range. Those are both weaknesses, or at least lack of preference. So if you guys take a look at destinytracker.com, That'll give you a really good idea of what you prefer to use, and that shows me as a coach what you're currently good at, and that should let you know what you need to work on in order to improve that part of your gameplay. So I always say lean into your strengths, but train your weaknesses. If you're playing a competitive match, knowing that you are a good pulse rifle or auto rifle user will help you be a better contributor to your team, but while you're doing quick play or working in pub play, it's time for you to start looking at other things that you're not as good at so you can progress and develop the rest of your game, and that's only going to help you overall improve your experience because now you're specifically training your weaknesses. Alright, the next portion of this has to do with finding your place on a competitive team, or at least doing better when you're playing in freelance. Now, what I did for me personally is and you guys should know this because I'm a YouTuber, I have no problem reaching out to people. I have zero issues taking that awkward first step and being like, hey, what's up, bro? You kicked my butt. Can we please play together? That's what I'm suggesting you guys do. If you have a really awesome match with somebody, reach out, send a message, see if you can team up for a little bit. I don't know if it's going to work out, neither do they, but it's worth you guys giving it a shot, especially if you had some gaming chemistry. That is a real thing. People being able to read your cues and your gameplay, your nonverbal cueing, and doing effectively, playing effectively off of you is a really important thing to have on a team when it comes down to teamwork, dynamic, and chemistry. So, how do you find your place on a comp team? Playing freelance is where we all usually begin if we're solo players. It's time for you to reach out, especially if you think there is a better player. If you see somebody that does things that you don't know how to do, it's time for you to make that awkward first step and give them that one-liner that we're all afraid to do. Hey bro, can we play together? Or whatever it is that you say. Maybe open up with a joke. I don't know. I'm really good at my dad jokes, so I tend to open up with something like that. But that's just me, and I'm not giving you any of my dad jokes. That's not what I'm here for. So the first thing I did, I play with a guy that has now invited me to his clan, and now I'm on the clan and I'm playing with him. You've seen him in some of my videos. His name is Thunderstroke. He's amazing. He can 1v3 everybody. So I ended up playing with him and am still playing with him. So what am I discussing when it comes down to being on a comp team? This guy is filling in a role for me that he is better at, and I am able to do the support role for him. Whatever he needs, because he is, in my opinion, the better player, is what I'm going to try to accomplish. I'm going to try to round out, based on my strengths and weaknesses, how I can fill in my role for this individual. So you have to reach out, maybe you'll get invited to a clan, onto a team, and then start playing together and see if it's going to work out, see if you have real chemistry. There are a couple of things that I would suggest to stay away from. If they are inherently toxic and you did not know that, go ahead and find a polite way to bow out. Hey, thank you, this is not working, appreciate your time, whatever it might be. But joining a comp team so you can then start to build a team dynamic and work on team chemistry together, incredibly important if you want to go further in the Destiny 2 competitive arena. Freelance will only take you so far. Having a team to play with is the next logical step, because now you have something that is developing and growing, and you can then work on creating a better team together with someone that you find value with. I'm going to work on another video for you guys that has to do with the composition of having a competitive team, because there are different layers to a competitive team that I believe need to be discussed if you want to play at that higher level. There's a lot of mental toughness and emotional conditioning that needs to happen. There's a lot of failure tactics that need to be progressively thought about when it comes to both behaviorally as well as developmentally. And those are things that I can't cover in just one video when I'm talking about what is the basics of how to have a little bit more fun with the Destiny 2 competitive arena. So I will do another video regarding teamwork, regarding basics for building a team, for coaching a team, and what it would mean to be a captain of that team, something of that nature. But let's go ahead and move on. The next thing I wanted to help you guys with is how to find enjoyment in the Destiny 2 competitive arena. The number one thing I can tell you is that you need to set your expectations at the door. If you're going in to play freelance, if you're going in to play with a team, those are different animals. Let's discuss freelance for now. Number one thing I try to do is I try to consider the fact that I'm there to learn and then have fun. Failure is an amazing teacher. If I get beat by somebody that every time I get to a lane, he snipes me, but I always challenge that same lane, okay, that's a really interesting failure point that I should have learned from. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I get in my own head, and I want to beat this kid so bad in that lane, just that one time, That's an ego challenge on my part. There's no reason for me to do that at age 40, but sometimes I still do that. So, trying to have fun is a priority, but I think the bigger priority is having the expectation that you're going in there to learn. This is when having a notebook actually really comes in handy. What types of things kept happening? In my opinion, if it happened 3 times, that means you're at fault. If I challenged that lane twice and got beat twice, I should not challenge that lane again. He owns that lane. It's time for me to learn from that, have my expectation of that lane is now his, how do I get around it? The adaptation there is what I'm trying to achieve. And if I'm not playing in such a way that I'm in learning and growth mode, I'm most likely failing myself and the team. Then I find value in having fun. So, to me it's about expectations of learning first, and then having fun next. Because if I learn and I do well, I tend to have more fun. That helps me stay more competitive, and that helps me win more matches. And let's be honest, if we're winning, we're probably having fun. Alright my dudes, I hope this video was useful to you. I hope everyone enjoys what I had to offer here, and if you find value with this, leave a like, a comment, subscribe if you feel so inclined. My Discord channel is down below if you feel like joining. Everything that you might need is in the description section. So thank you guys so much. Keep it zen out there. Love all you guys. Have a good one.